Hey guys, welcome to the Titanium Vault. I'm your host, RJ Bates III. And today, oh man, I got a treat for you guys. I'm sitting down. This is not, I don't even know what the word is besides he's just my friend. He's my friend. He's come to two crucibles. He's been to Closer's Formula. He's worked with us here at Titanium Investments. We've done deals together. Mr. Jamie LeBlanc. How you doing, man?
What's up, RJ, man? Appreciate you having me on.
Hey, for everyone that is wondering right now, yes, Jamie is super nervous because he doesn't do podcasts. This is what, your second one ever?
Yes, sir.
Hey man, guess what? I did two and then I started my own. So maybe after this interview, you're going to be so inspired that you're going to take that beautiful Southern accent of yourself and go start your own podcast. What do you think?
It may have to happen. You something else, man. I got to grow that beard back first.
There you go. There you go. So let the people know, where are you from and what is it that you do, man?
Yeah, my name is Jamie LeBlanc. I live in Southeast Texas in the Beaumont area. I'm a nationwide virtual wholesaler. I'm originally from a little town just north of Lafayette, Louisiana. So I'm a Texas transplant. Been here since '99.
Hold on. What's the little town's name?
The little town is called Opelousas.
Opelousas.
Opelousas, Louisiana.
And it's Louisiana.
It's Louisiana, baby. Louisiana. Go Cajuns.
It's not Louisiana. It's Louisiana.
It's Louisiana.
Let's get it right. Just making sure. Just making sure.
Anyhow, I come from the oil field. I got my career started in the oil field, working offshore on production platforms when I was around 19 years old. Did that for a few years and then got into doing turnaround work, which was mainly going into plants and doing some maintenance work and stuff like that. So I got a lot of maintenance under my belt, working in refineries, chemical plants, that kind of thing. And then fast forward, I went into operations to where modern day Homer Simpson, you just, operate these units, man, producing chemicals, plastic, refining oil for, diesel, gasoline, jet fuel. So about 5 years ago, I got into real estate back in 2019. I got in doing some flips. I did my first flip and I was affiliated with a real estate agent who had a one-stop shop. She did interior design. She had a construction company. So it was kind of one of those things where she can grab the contract for me. We can lock it up. We go in, we design it, go in and do the rehab, and then she'll sell it on the back end. And made a good little chunk off of that first one, even though I was learning, and, most people, they lose on their first one, so I was fortunate to be able to make a little bit. And so we were looking for some other properties, and I didn't feel I was being represented as well as I should, being the buyer, so we kind of went separate ways. And then that forced me to go down the rabbit hole of direct to seller. That's where we always end up, right?
Right.
YouTube after YouTube after YouTube, and all the research and reading the articles and coming across all these different people. And, it gets confusing after a while because everybody has a different philosophy on how they go about doing things. So then I come across this bearded fella, man. I mean, he was just out of the box, just crazy. So I started following you, RJ. This was somewhere, I want to say, in the middle of the first 50.
Yeah.
And, I watched a couple videos, and then I started getting more in the routine of watching it every day. And I was like, man, this dude is just something. This is no bullshit, So I started following what you were doing and stuff, and then you come out with the Crucible, I was like, man, I need to get there. So I think I ended up attending the third ever Crucible back in June of 21. And then from there, dude, it's just been crazy because you and I connected, and not just on a mentor mentee level or, on a boot camp level. We developed a relationship over the years, on more of a personal level. And so that's where it all got started. Went to the boot camp, or I say boot camp, the Crucible. It's the Crucible. So, I was forced through the fire, and back then we were learning a lot about the SMS marketing through batch and stuff like that, and all the marketing aspects of everything. And that was a grind. When I come home, we had our debrief call about a week later. And based on my situation with the way I worked, I didn't have a whole lot of time. So we opted to go with the VA, right? And you and I sat there for a couple hours during our debrief call, just spending money, pulling like 60,000 records all
Dude,
across.
I gotta tell my side of that story. So when Jamie comes, he's got this W-2 that he's making pretty decent money at, and he wants to get into this, and he's like, hey, I've got money to throw at this. So what can we do? So we developed a plan. I'm like, hey, let's pull this data and let's give it to the VA, and then you could just come in and close the deals. So then Jamie's like, all right, bro, pull me some data. And I can't remember what was the budget you gave me. Like,
I think at first it was like 10 grand.
10 grand.
Yeah.
Dude, he loads up his batch leads account with 10 grand. And I'll never forget sitting at my computer, logged in Jamie's account with 10 grand loaded up. And I go to pull my first list, and I'm like, dude, it's one thing when I pull my own list and it doesn't work. It's another when you're spending somebody else's 10 grand. I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, I every time I go to a city, I'm like, well, is this a good city for them? Will this work? I started like overthinking it. Like, man, is this Southern accent going to bother this city? Is it not? Is it going to be a good thing for this city? I was so damn nervous pulling those lists over and over. I got over it about halfway through because then it was like, shit, $10,000 of records is a lot. I just started pulling them all, man. But when you said we connected on a deeper level, I think part of that is that, man, you came to me and you were like, I really have a purpose to get out of this W-2 and do this full time. And it was because of your kids. And I resonated so much with that. I mean, talk about where you were during that time of like, hey, I want to be full time, but I'm making really good money over here. Cause this is a struggle that a lot of people have where it's like, there's the security of having a really good job, but then you don't have any time freedom or freedom in your life whatsoever. So what was that kind of struggle, and what were some of the things that you had to go through to make a decision on that?
Yeah. So eventually the decision was made for me, but we'll get to that. Right. So being in the refineries and plants and stuff, being a process operator, so we work crazy schedules. Okay, so it's days and nights, and the shifts are 12 hours. It's 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. And so, I mean, it's a grind, and the way the schedules work out is that you're basically working about 6 months out of the year, but the way they rotate, it's like, man, it beats you down, because you're flip-flopping back and forth between day shift and night shift. So you'll work like 4 days, 12 hours, you'd be off 7 days, or supposedly you're supposed to be off for 7 days, and you'll come back on 4 nights and you'd be off for 3, then work 3 days off 1, work 3 nights, and you're off the weekend. And it all starts all over again. So you can see where that would, I mean, man, that's disrupted sleeping patterns. And if you have to go to a doctor's appointment or something, if you're on nights, you wake up early, so you lose a lot of sleep. So, but in this line of work, there's a lot of overtime. There's a lot of turnover, and it's great money. It's a 6-figure job, but all the overtime. I mean, it got to a point to where I went to a 13 on and 1 day off schedule. So it's like, yeah, sure, I'm making great money. I'm making all this overtime, but I don't have time to spend it. I don't have time to spend time with my kids. It's one of those things where when you sign on a dotted line, it states, you will work weekends, nights, holidays, and rain or shine, inclement weather. It's just one of those things. So over time, man, it's just I got burnt out on it. And it's like I've got to find something different. And I had already started with the flipping stuff, but I wanted to go more direct to seller, and that's when I came to the Crucible and all that stuff, and so there were times where I had time to follow up with the leads and stuff that were coming in with the VAs, and I could sit there. Sometimes I could even do it at work, from my phone and just click, 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 click. I mean, we wore our thumbs out back then,
Right.
So it's so there was times I had downtime to where I could follow up, but then there comes busy season to where we're shorthanded or something, and we've got to cover shifts. And like I said, went to a 13-1 schedule for a while, and it just I couldn't keep up, so I had to let the VA go. I went through a few VAs, but I've got all the data, and I still have tons of those VA leads that we can probably still warm up a couple years later, and some of them we have touch base with. So fast forward through all that, man. Back in, it's actually been right at a year now, back in February the 12th of last year, I was headed to the gym on my way before work. I was going to work the night shift on a Sunday. And on the way to the gym, I was T-boned. Someone ran a red light and my truck flipped a couple times. I hit a pole, put me out of work, FMLA for a little while, while I recovered and all that. And during that time, we had an announcement with the company that there was going to be a corporate restructure. And come to find out, I was going to be laid off. So that really hit me pretty tough, So you go from a 6-figure job, you're taking care of your family and everything. It's like, okay, well, what's fixing to happen here, And so it delivered a blow to my confidence, and it delivered a blow to my mindset. I knew that I had been wanting to get out, I wanted to do my own thing, have the time freedom, even if I don't make 6 figures, I can still make it work. I'm home. I'll be able to do things with my kids and attend events and, stuff like that. And so, I got a little depressed, man. You and I talked about that, and it caused a little depression. So it's like, well, what am I going to do? And I was so deep down in it that I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to do.
Why do you think it caused depression?
I guess just going from that kind of income to nothing, just like that. And you had no control over it. Someone else had the control. And I think that's what hit me. When we're brought up, we're taught to go to school, make good grades, go to college, land you a good job, something with benefits, something this, something that. Find you somewhere that's got job security. But bro, what the fuck is job security? Bro, that was just a proven concept right there.
Yeah.
You can be off at any when. I was there for 10 years, and I'm grateful for the opportunity and the things I learned, because there's things that I learned there just in that job in 10 years that I can pull from that and place in my business. It was an analytical job. We watch graphs and trends. And so we're always watching trends in the real estate, right? We look for where we can bridge gaps, where deals don't fall through as much. You're analyzing things. So I can pull that from it. I wrote standard operating procedures. I updated standard operating procedures all the time. I can take that skill, put it back into my business. Just like I walk into that job, I'll pull up the procedures. I can do the job theoretically. Well, the same thing here with the business. I'm able to write that. I took that skill away and be able to implement that into my business. But, with that whole mindset, the blow to my mindset, it was like, okay, yeah, there is no such thing as job security. So after I kind of sat in my shit for a little while and gathered myself, it was like, it's time to hit the road, hit the ground running. It's time. This is it. This was God shutting that door, opening this other one, and then a lot of coincidences started happening, you and I and Cassie, we started connecting more. I started connecting with more other, other people, they're coming into my life and from the real estate and being invited to events and this and that, and then invited on my first podcast, so it's like, okay, doors are opening here, and all the while I had been submitting my resumes, to some of these other places that are hiring. Well, I'd get an email, thanks, but no thanks. Okay, great. That's just that. I'm just taking that as God's way of saying this is not for you anymore. This is not you. It's just more confirmations, one after another, So, and then things started happening, man. I mean, I started focusing in on things. In the past, I was always looking for the shiny objects. It's like it's real easy to get squirrel brains and jump from this after 2 weeks and go to learn this and go to learn this. Well, what if I learn this? This will bring my business to the next level. Okay, well, dude, I was so wide focused, on all these different things. So I was like, I just need to have tunnel vision, focus in on this one thing. And I think you talked about that on the live yesterday. Focus in on this one thing. And that's where I experienced the most growth. So let me focus on this formula. Yep. Let me focus on this acquisition before I move over to Dispo or move over to Sub2 or move over to Novation. Sure, those are tools, but that's not the end all be all of wholesaling.
Yep.
I
mean, listen, when we talk about that kind of stuff, I mean, you go back to the things that you learned at your job, right? When you had that job, more than likely, I'm making this assumption, but they were like, hey, Jamie, we want you to do this. It wasn't, hey, Jamie, you're going to come in and you're going to do everything in this whole building. No, that's why they had all those different employees. Now, maybe over the course of time, you became cross-trained in different things that you would do. But it was over the course of time, and it was one at a time you learned how to do things. And that's what we need to be doing as real estate investors, specifically wholesalers. It's just shiny object syndromes everywhere. I want to go back to I explain the mindset of for a year and a half, you wanted to work yourself out of the W-2. Mm-hmm. The W-2 gets yanked away from you. Now, yeah, you have that initial, I don't want to say it's a man thing, but it's probably a man thing. I mean, it's like you said, you were making six figures and then it gets ripped away from you, and there's a little bit of depression. I look back at the TV show, and it's the same thing, TV show gets ripped away from us, and I sit here for 3 months just kind of depressed. Yeah. I don't even know why, to be honest with you. I can't even explain it to you. So I get that. But then you find out, okay, I've got the freedom, and you start going all in on wholesaling. Why were you still putting in resumes for another W-2?
Well, I think that's one of those things to kind of keep my foot, or keep my options open. It's not necessarily the thought of, will this wholesaling work or will this wholesaling not work? I think it was more of a confidence thing. I've got a family to take care of. Being a single dad, it's my job, and I don't know, man. I did it, but I look back at it, and it's like one of those things where it's just confirmation after confirmation. This is not where you belong. I believe it's one of those things that, you're shown things in the past, and you don't realize it until things really start happening. God shows you where I'm not a big religious guy, but I do believe, and he's going to show you things throughout your life. And it's if you don't make that move to what he's showing you, he's going to make you move. And that's the way I look at this door being shut with this job, and I came out, I was, like I said, a little depression. Like you said, you can't explain it, 3 months. That I experienced the same thing, man. I can't explain why I felt the way I felt. But it happened for a reason, and then after I picked myself up, I'm thinking to myself, it's like, after 10 years and they can just do that to you while you're on, medical leave from an accident, and, So it can happen to anybody. We've had a couple other facilities that around this area that have actually just shut down completely. So it's flooded the market, the refinery market, with like 1,300 people looking for a job. So it does happen. But yeah, then I doubled down and went all in on myself. I bet it on myself, man. And it's
So fast forward to, you didn't tell us about the wreck for a couple of months. We didn't really even know about it.
mm,
And then I think that was part of that depression, right?
yeah,
Like, you were kind of sitting over there, and then it was like, all right, you finally opened up to us. You came to the Crucible in June of 2023, so 2 years after the one that you came before. Talk about what that kind of change, because the Crucible changed so much.
yes,
Dude, you were talking about the list pulling and the SMS and all of that. And then in 2023, 2 years later, it's a completely different business,
that's right.
right? So, what was your feelings walking away in 2023, where now it's like, okay, I'm all in on this. I don't have a job. This is what I've got to do now. But with the changes in the lead gen strategies and stuff like that, were you confident, or were you like, oh my God, this is a whole different business?
Um, yeah, you're right. It was a whole different thing, but the new strategies, it's all inbound. It's a whole different fucking ball game.
Yeah.
You're not out there calling people that hasn't raised their hand and they're just busting you in the mouth left and right. In the texting, it's okay to just have, funny conversations, and just people sending you fucking pictures. We'll just put it,
Yeah, we'll leave it at pictures.
but behind a computer, you can have fun with it and say, man, you need to get that looked at by a medical professional or something. Come on, let's be real, but, going outbound, you get beat the hell out of, and all this info.
You have to have the funny conversations just to make it through the day.
That's right. That's right. So going into, Crucible 2.0, it was just different, and then I started, buying into the speed to lead stuff and all that. And those conversations are just so much different with those inbound leads, and they're actually, if you can get them to open up, they're actually presenting a problem that you are now on stage to help solve. Versus going over there, well, I'm just trying to block punches and, death threats and everything else. It's just a whole different ball game. And I like the new way we're doing things,
Dude, you're talking about in 2020 and 2021, and then part of 2022, there was a stretch of where our entire business strategy was essentially get your teeth kicked in all day. Don't worry about it, because eventually there's going to be someone that's motivated enough to have a solid conversation with you.
Right.
And it was also the closer's formula wasn't fully like evolved yet, because what did we have to say? Like via text, we had to say things like, well, if you can just answer a few of these questions, I can make you a cash offer.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, we don't even say the word offer anymore. It's all about getting a number out of them. And now we're the buyer. It put us in such a position of power now. And honestly, I don't know about you, but I'm a lot more relaxed than I was back then.
Yeah. I'd agree with you on that. It's more laid back conversations. You're not gritting your teeth and like, what is this seller going to say? He's fixing to tell me to fuck off. I'm going to kill you and blah, blah, blah. I don't know what I can say on here, but it's just one of those things. Those conversations, with these inbound, it's not like that at all.
So real quick, I got to tell you a funny story in that, Jamie. So I've got a Google Drive folder of all of my reels that Pat Hilton's teams ever made for me. So here's the funny thing. When they started making me reels, okay, the only place that I could post those was Instagram and TikTok because Facebook didn't have reels and YouTube didn't have shorts yet. So there's a lot of like funny reels that I have from way back in the day that never made it on YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah.
Every now and then I'll go back into that G Drive folder and try to find a funny conversation, a good like throwback reel, right?
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
I was in there the other day and I thought it was a mistake. I thought this like the same reel had been like posted in there like 3 or 4 times. No, they were all different. And here's what it was. And I'm sure you remember these. I sent a text to the wife, and the husband called wanting to know, why are you texting my wife?
Yes. Yes.
It's 4 different husbands. And the reason why I know is because the color down at the bottom was a different color for the day of the 50-day challenge because I changed the color every single day. And it was like, dude, I was literally like on a daily basis getting called by an angry husband thinking that I was like the what is the word? I was cheating on with his wife.
Yes.
You know, it's like, why are you texting my wife? Who gave you the authority to get her number and do this?
You
I mean,
damn
dude, it was
homewrecker.
crazy stuff back then, man.
Yeah.
So now we're having these quality conversations. So you leave the Crucible here in June of 2023. What happens the rest of 2023 for you?
Rest of 2023, man. Like I said, I was shiny object. I just had a wide tunnel and I just honed in on that. Just, this is what I did, you know. Now I didn't go into lead Zolo at the time, because I still had to kind of watch my budget, not being, working and all that. So I had to be strategic. So with Speed to Lead, I jumped on the coupon club.
Yep.
So Gene throws out all the coupons, and stuff like that. So, and to this day, I still work some of those old leads I bought back in July. And I think one of them we actually locked up, one of them we did lock up from one that I bought in August.
Yep.
So a lot of them had gone cold, and Cassie jumped my shit over it. She was like, how are these going to sit here from back in July and you haven't made the single first fucking call to them? And it's like, well, and then I started jumping on them. So it's like, but that was here recent. But yeah, so I jumped into Speed to Lead with the Coupon Club, and I was doing a lot of SEO stuff with my website and all that. And I went out to do guerrilla marketing, man. It still works. I hit bandit signs. I mean, we're going out there 1 o'clock in the morning. We're just tack, 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 tack everywhere, and it's brought in a couple deals, I lost a couple of them, which is fine. You're not going to lock up all of them. You're not going to, they're not all going to close, but it was working, so I did some of that.
You're big on Carrot and the SEO sites, right?
Yes. So I do have a Carrot site, and I've fully built out my site. So it's not what you get right out of the box. But I have built several landing pages and property pages and stuff like that right along with it. But I also do some blog posts on there. I rework some of their automatic blog posts to give it my touch and, my vision of it. And then I'll put that out, and dude, nobody thinks about this. Pinterest, blow it. I mean, make a Pinterest page for your business. Send that blog post to there. Send the blog post to like medium.com. Put it out in several different places, your Facebook page, your personal page, your business page, whatever, Instagram, and it's brand building, and some of it's worked. I'm a member of the Better Business Bureau here locally, so I'm an accredited business for 5 years. And I've never seen an ROI from that. I mean, we pay like $550 a year, right? Never saw an ROI from that until here recently. Back in November, I closed on my first deal from the Better Business Bureau. That's where the lead came in from. So they're researching your business. They want to know what you're doing. Are you legit or are you a scammer?
And dude, I've got a video on my YouTube channel from this past 50-day challenge where I lost the deal because of a bad review left on our BBB.
I remember that.
And funny enough, it's full circle. That bad review on my BBB came from me sending a text message to them, and then they went on and literally they wrote on there, this guy will reach out to you without having any previous connection or communication and ask if you want to sell your house. That was the bad review.
Mm-hmm.
And then the lead that I sent the contract to said, well, I don't want to do business with you because you have a bad review on the BBB. And I'm like, did you read it? It literally said I wanted to buy his house.
Yeah.
You want to sell me your house? I'm here. If that's a bad thing, then yeah, we could not do business. So that's really cool that you got a deal from the BBB. But was that the big deal that you got? Was that the BBB?
Yep. That was the big one. Yeah.
How much did you make on that one?
That one was just a hair under 35,000 assignment fee.
I mean, dude, that's huge. I mean, for where you are in your journey to like, all right, lost my job earlier in the year. I'm trying to get rallied back, and then to make that kind of an assignment fee from really, it's not an inbound lead. It's not a speed to lead or a lead Zolo. You know what I'm saying? This is like the best leads in the world are the ones that come from that long-term evergreen strategies that you have. On the carrot sites, how often would you say you're not running any paid marketing to that? How often would you say you get a lead to your carrot site? Is it like once or twice a month, or is it more common?
It's kind of off and on. Some days some months I'll go a couple months with nothing. And then sometimes I'll come out 2 or 3, but a lot of them, it's mostly local. I get a lot of mobile homes that are on rented land. So, we can't do anything with that other than, it's really not much to do with it because of the cost of moving it and, all that stuff, finding another place for it. But yeah, I mean, I wish it would be better, but I have gotten some. I did run some paid marketing to it a while back. It's probably been a year and a half, 2 years, just to try it out. Dude, I didn't know what I was doing. That ate up some money.
This is why when people want to talk about, dude, the cost of lead Zolo and the cost of speed to lead, and I'm like, dude, the education it would cost me to figure out how to actually run these campaigns myself, and we don't have to worry about it at all.
Right. Well, see,
they just show up.
Right. So I ran those ads, not really knowing what I'm doing, just going off of somebody on YouTube, just doing it that way. Okay. So that's another point that I need to make towards the shiny objects. Okay. So we talk about all the time, commit to one thing, commit to a certain amount as your budget, and commit for 90 days or better. You're not going to see an ROI or see some kind of consistency, without doing that. You've got to hone in and commit to something for a certain period of time in order to see if it works. You can't go in there for 2 weeks or go in there for a month. Oh, I'm getting all these shit leads. I'm not getting nothing, blah, blah, blah. Well, let me try my hand at Google PPC on my own and let me just blow my whole goddamn thing in a couple of days. So it's like, that was one of those shiny objects. That's what I chased.
Yep.
But dude, now that I'm honed in, it's different.
Listen, you're talking to the guy that gets the calls, literally the phone calls where it's like, RJ, I used your link, man, to buy the lead Zolo leads, and I haven't gotten a contract yet. And I'm like, okay, well, how many leads have you gotten? 10. Okay. Well, how long have you had the 10? About 2 days. I just got my 10th 2 days ago. I'm like, all right. Like, dude, we're just getting started.
Yeah.
Like it ain't gonna be. They're like, but RJ, you said you closed 1 in 7. It's like I said yesterday during the live. It's like that's over thousands of leads over the course of like months and months and months.
Right.
Like, dude, we're literally closing deals that like we got the lead like 8 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're talking about, you're closing deals from July and August. It's like, dude, you know how many times the people are like, I do want to sell in 6 months,
Yeah.
5 months. What happens in 5 months? My kid stopped school, so I gotta live here through May so I can sell my house in June. Every parent understands that whole situation. I'm not gonna uproot my kid in February of the school year.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like there's so many different things that come along with these leads. So it's like you're right. You do have to make that commitment both financially and some sort of length to it to be able to get those numbers. Now, you came to the first closers formula. When was that? Is that October?
Yeah. I think it was October. Yeah. That was
Dude,
a hell of an experience, man.
dude, I don't think I've ever been more, I don't even know what the word was, but proud of someone inside of our community just stepping up to the plate. I mean, dude, when we thought about what the closers formula was going to be, and we said, all right, so what did we do for the Crucible, right? We showed everybody everything that we do. And then what were the giveaways that we gave people? We gave people an extreme ownership. We gave them the band on their wrist that says create your own reality, right? And then we gave them the titanium cube, right?
Right.
Hey, remember this right here. Now you're titanium. So then when we said, okay, we're changing the closer's formula, we're going to change this up a little bit. And so we said, we're going to give the book Relentless because Relentless, that book is what inspired the original 50-day challenge. And then we're going to give away the compass and the sundial for patience and knowing which direction you're headed.
Mm-hmm.
And when you came in, how many contracts did you send out during that first closers formula?
Over 7 hours. So we had what, 2 hours, 2 hours calling time the first day, 5 hours calling time the second day. I locked down 5 contracts.
I mean, dude, the thing that, and here's the thing that I want people to understand, because sometimes they get wrapped up in well, I can't do that, or I can't be like RJ, or, well, Jamie has been to 2 crucibles and 2 closers formula, and he's gotten to work inside of Titanium's office. So of course he's going to get those type of results. I can't get those. Facts are, there was a period in time right before the closers formula, or actually at the closers formula, you said you were afraid to get on the phone. Like, you legitimately bought leads from Speed to Lead and never called them because you were like, you had a fear of getting on the phone.
Yeah. So I feel it's true. I had a fear. And at one point, I wasn't afraid to get on the phones. But whenever you go through a period of not doing it, they say if you don't practice it, you lose it, right? So I went through a period where I wasn't making any calls. Okay. And then I bought those leads with all full intention on calling them. Yep. But something held me back. Now that's something I can't explain. I mean, I'm not a chicken shit. I just can't explain what happened. I don't know. But once I did get on the phone, you go through a period of call reluctance. You get call reluctancy. It's like if you're not making calls, it's almost like you lose what you've practiced. But once I jumped into that, back into making calls, and the conversations were a whole lot different because they were more inbound. You know, that they raised their hand. It's like, I need to sell my house. And dude, the conversations I started having, and I just started focusing in on that. And the conversation I enjoyed a lot of these conversations, you know, and that's what pulled me further into it, wanting to make more and more and more. And there was one day where, you know, I made my calls for the day. I had hit my goal of how many conversations I was going to have. I said, well, look, I'm going to pull a Ed Milet and I'm going to make one more call. And don't you know, that one more call, that was at Titanium. I locked that deal up. I'm going to make one more call. And if I'm not mistaken, Garrett, Jeremy, Justin, and me, we all locked one up at the same time. At
Yes.
the end of the day on Friday. I'm making that one more call.
End of a day on a Friday, and y'all all kind of collectively said it like, hey, let's get one more rep in, right? And because you did that, then the results all happened for you simultaneously, and then we had to play some games and have some fun in the office. But you know, I want to talk about that. Like, so you come to the closures formula, you send out 5 contracts here, and what was awesome to see was the momentum that you built for yourself. Like, momentum is a real thing, and like, dude, you were on a heater. I mean, it was like you could feel the energy permeating from you inside of the room. And it was cool to see everyone being like, oh man, I got to be like Jamie. And it's amazing to see like a little tiny bit of like results, how much that impacts everyone around you. Where it's like, dude, you're inspiring me because you got on the phone and you followed the formula to a T and it worked and it got a contract. Now I'm going to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is what we want inside of our community from everyone. That's what I was saying yesterday. We're not taking everybody in the community. We're only taking the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to see that across the board because we know it works, but you got to follow it. So on that note, there was a small little tweak that I gave you when you came up to the office. You were working here for a couple of days. And I remember I was walking by you, and attention to detail is such a little thing. And this was actually on us. I didn't realize it, but we actually had it written down in our booklets.
Mm-hmm.
Step number 3 of the closures formula, right? Verify that they want to sell, ask them what their asking price is, and then we actually wrote down. Tell me a little bit about what you got going on with that property. And you asked that, and as you asked that, I literally was walking by you to go to the restroom.
Yep.
And after I waited on you to finish that call, and I said, hey, I could tell just by your side of the conversation, that was not a good conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know it wasn't. And I said, I think it's because you said with the property, it's got to be a more open-ended question. Just say, tell me what you got going on, because then that allows them to open up about their pain and motivation and whatever, because you didn't ask them specifically about the property.
Right.
Because prior to that, all you had been talking about earlier in the day is I could hear you. 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot, needs a summary. You weren't talking about I'm divorced,
Right.
I lost my leg, I got to do this. You were talking about the property. You made that small little tweak, and then all of a sudden it was contract.
Yeah.
So talk about like the differences that you've seen over that first closures formula to this past month, because we're going to talk about what you've done this past month. But some of the small little tweaks that you've had to make inside of using the closers formula to close deals that have made like huge differences from previous conversations. Because, dude, that one little one, I know I got to witness it, was massive.
Yeah. Yeah. So I follow the formula. You know, I follow what you teach, and you know, I'm not RJ. I'm not trying to be RJ. So we have to tweak it to make it come from our voice, our personality, right? So I was following the formula, and I did say property. Can you tell me a little bit about what you got going on with that property? And then when you heard it, I guess it made you realize, we need to tweak this. So it's nothing anybody did wrong. It's just you hear it from a third party. Okay, well, we need to take this out. We need to tweak this because we need to make it better. So it's just like a standard operating procedure. You're constantly making things better as you pivot in your processes, right? So, yeah, I tweaked that. So I started gearing that question more towards the situation. It's like, well, can you tell me a little bit about the situation that you're going through? What's got you looking to sell? Because we want to pull the pain point out. We can talk about the property later. And, I have one seller that he's funny as shit. He's talking about, he's in a wheelchair and he's riding around and in his house and he's poking holes in his floor. And he said he's fixing to put a trampoline underneath his house so when he falls through, he can bounce back inside the house. And I mean, it's the crazy stories like that. But so you're pulling the pain points. What's causing you to need to sell this house, because we want to solve a problem, right? Well, if I'm asking you about your house, what kind of condition it's in, before I even find out what's going on with you, what problem am I solving? Yeah. I'm solving me trying to get something under contract. First and foremost, I want to help that seller. And if we can help, then we start running numbers. Then we start looking at, can we move it and this and that, but that was a big tweak, a small tweak, but made a big difference.
Think about that, Jamie. What you did there is exactly what I've been saying since I've been teaching the closer's formula, which is, hey, don't be RJ. This is how I ask. You could change the words. Just make sure that whatever words you change are getting you the same result that is needed.
Exactly.
We need to understand their pain and their motivation. If you understand that, then I don't think you should just come out and ask them like, oh, so what's your pain and motivation? I think that's a little bit too direct, but you can change the words up as long as you're getting the same results. So let's talk about it's Valentine's Day 2024. Let's talk about what happened in January. This was a record month for you as far as the amount of contracts you got, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So how many contracts did you get signed?
For January, we got a total of 8 locked up for January, 2 closed in February.
Nice.
Yes.
So 8 locked up. Were those all you, or did you get a little bit of help?
I did have a little bit of help. I've got 2 people that, have been making, a couple calls here and there. Right. And actually, all 3 of us were at the closer's formula, which, one of them is a student and one came with me. And this last closer's formula, I really didn't have a lot of call time. I was there with somebody else making the calls, helping them through it. And she actually got 2 contracts. Oh, well, not 2 contracts that day, but she had 2 conversations that we were working the contracts. So 2 of those contracts were locked up by her. Yep. Those are in Shreveport. And then we have 2 more that the student locked up. He was in my CRM. I gave him some leads to where he could get some reps in, because he said he wanted to flex that muscle. He wanted to make it grow. So he locked up 2 in Ohio. So, and then the other 4, I grabbed those contracts. One of those was at this last formula.
Yeah. So. You had to make sure you at least got 1 at the formula.
Oh, right? Yeah. I mean,
I saw you were letting other people call, and you were kind of sitting back, but then, you were like, well, I mean, I can't show up at another formula and not get at least 1,
Right.
I saw it. I saw the little king closer senior in you.
Well, man, to be honest with you, I had to get at least 1 because I couldn't compete with the portfolio that was locked up. 13, what was it, 13 of them or something that was
Yeah.
like that. I mean, I couldn't compete with that.
Dude, and that's been a crazy. That's been so. It was 13 properties. It's 37 doors.
37 doors, yeah.
The dispositions on that has been crazy.
I bet.
Oh, dude, it's been crazy because I guess at some point in time, someone else came along and offered them to buy like 2 or 3 of the units, and they liked the offer. They like reverse engineered it, and it was essentially that person was offering them more. So then they were like, "Hey, can we just remove those from the contract?" And we were like, "Well, we don't really want to do that because we were mid dispositions with already buyers showing up." And then it was, "Well, how about we just terminate the whole thing? We just write you a check for your time."
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, "Well, we don't really like that either." So then they were like, "All right, well then, never mind, forget it. We have a contract. You go do your thing." So there was like a week and a half of just pure chaos of us not knowing if it was still a deal or not.
Right.
That's been a crazy deal in and of itself. The whole thing for the closers formula was insanity. I mean,
Yeah.
50 something units contracts or 60. I think 50 got signed. We still have contracts getting signed. I think I saw it yesterday. A contract got signed from the closers formula. Like
Mm-hmm.
the conversations continued to happen, and now the contract's getting signed. So it's been awesome, man.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, Jamie, you're an incredible member of our community. You're always posting in the group. You're always giving back to the just everyone. I mean, you were talking about, your relationship with Bud. I mean, just, you guys are like the best of friends now, and it kind of came from our community. I mean, it's incredible to see. And then I have to say, it's not only just what you give back, but it's the fact that you are a leader in the community because of your story and the actions and how you give back. So, man, thank you so much for everything that you do for us.
Man, RJ, I appreciate that, man. I don't do it, to I do it generally to help. I want to see everybody win, especially people in our community. If I can have my hand in it and help them win, if they ask me a question, and if you know anything to help, I'm not trying to be, you know, anything big. I just, man, I share my story, what I've been through. You've had a hand in that with what you teach and all that, man. And I can't do anything but give back. I'm big on relationships. I hold relationships dear to my heart, and man, any way I can help, I'm there.
Well, I know you're going to be giving back here in 8 days. So if you're listening to this after February 22nd, well, you waited too long to listen to the episode. But February 22nd, you're actually going to be speaking at an event, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to be in San Antonio, February 22nd. I'll be speaking at the Real Estate Wholesaling Live event. I'll be a featured panelist. So I'm not going to be a solo speaker. I'll be on a panel, which this is the first time doing that too, man. And it's going to be pretty amazing experience. The amount of value that's going to be shared there. I mean, it's not just in wholesaling. There's commercial that's going to be there. There's people going to be talking about lending, flips, what they're doing in marketing. It's going to be a pretty good event. And RJ, I wish you and Cassie could be there, brother. But I know there's bigger things happening on that day, and
yeah,
I understand.
It was such unfortunate timing. Kai reached out to us and he asked if we want to be a part of it. And it was like, dude, that's Cassie's birthday. And because it's Cassie's birthday and 222 is partially why we're Titanium, we announced that was going to be the release date of Titanium University. I'm like, we just can't do it. But because of you, we have a new team member. So roundabout story. I go to an event here in Plano. I'm sure you guys have seen the video. I locked up a deal on stage at the event with Naaman Taylor and Kai, and with Travis Wells' event. Jamie was there. Jamie introduces me to a guy at the event, and we got to shake hands, and it's like, nice to meet you, man. And long story short, he starts following me on YouTube and staying connected with our content. And then he reaches out to our team and he comes to the Closers Formula because he wants to buy his son the Closers Formula for his 21st birthday present. What a cool birthday present for your 21st birthday. Your dad buys you, hey, you're going to go to the Closers Formula. So, long story short, his son, Cannon, was a huge fan of mine. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know he knew who I was. I never really seen him comment or anything like that. But apparently he was a huge fan of mine before coming to Closure Formula. So this is like a big deal. So they come to Closure Formula. They both locked up, I think, like 3 contracts apiece. And I saw Cannon on the phone, and he was just an absolute killer. And of course, I've talked about this before. We have a super young team. And I saw Cannon hanging out with my team. Mm-hmm. And I saw him and I was like, these guys are like boys. Like, this guy needs to be a part of my team.
Yeah.
So I offered Cannon a job at the Closers Formula. He accepted. He moved here from Phoenix, Arizona. He started this week. First day, he got 4 signed contracts. And he's going to be at that event as well with his dad, Caleb. So they're going to be speaking at it. I think they're on a panel as well. They might be on the same panel as you.
Yep.
So Titanium is representing strong at this event, and we love it. We support it. So check that out. What do you know the website where people can find tickets for it?
Oh man,
the wholesalingsyndicate.com.
It's I think it's live.wholesalingsyndicate.
I'll make sure to put it in the show notes. So check that out. Go support Jamie. Go support Caleb and Cannon. Brother, man, I love you. I'm so honored to have you as a friend and a supporter. You support us in everything that we do, man. And so I appreciate everything that you've done for us. And, bro, you should never be nervous about being on a podcast. You're a fucking natural.
It's the fucking beard, man. I'm fucking naked right now.
I was gonna bring up the no beard thing, but listen, it's coming back, right? You're gonna bring it back.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring the beard back.
Well, RJ, man, I appreciate the kind words, man. Like I say, we built a relationship over the years, man, and it's happy Valentine's Day.
Hey, that's actually the reason why I wanted to interview you today is because I said I want to spend an hour just talking to Jamie on Valentine's Day.
Can I say you're full of shit?
I said I love you. Damn. All right.
I love you, brother.
Hey, are we gonna end this the same way me and Cassie ended the live the other day, where it's not even a full? Did you catch that? What happened with me and Cassie on the live?
I don't think I caught the end of it.
Okay, so the end, this is the one where we announced Titanium University. And at one point in time, way back when, I said, together we are everything. Okay, and she remembered that. Okay, so at the end, I said, hey, I'm going to change that saying that I said to you a long time ago. I'm going to say, together we are titanium. And I went to end the recording, but I missed the button. And Cassie goes, we're twat. We're twat. That's what we are. Together we are titanium. We're twat. And I start dying laughing. And I'm like, oh, we're still live.
I'm going to have to go back and check that out.
Oh, bro, it was such a classic ending.
Hey, but
you got to go catch that. Sure.
That's pretty good because, Cassie loves our acronyms. So.
Right.
That's funny.
All right, bro. I appreciate you. Guys, go follow Jamie. Where's best? Facebook. You're a big Facebook guy, right?
Facebook, yeah.
Yeah, go follow him on Facebook. Make sure you leave us a 5-star review. You guys are not leaving me 5-star reviews. It's just not happening. I don't know if you make it this far in the interview or what, but you guys are disappointing me. I haven't got one in 2024 yet. So leave me a 5-star review. Jamie, appreciate you, brother. We'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Bye, guys.